This is the biggest opportunity for Texas State football in its entire program's history. You can make an argument that maybe it was last year when you faced Baylor in Waco and you got the win. You could even say, once again, last year, you had a bowl game. It was your first ever bowl appearance, and you win that. I think that's the snowball. I think that those two moments built up in a major way in 2024 is what could push it down the mountain in a major way for just the program and the university overall. I'll give you four sets of numbers real quick. 3-9, 2-10, and 4-8, and 4-8 once again. Those four records recently, those aren't just like from 2010. I'm not that old. Were the records of Texas State football when I was a student there. Not only was I a student there, but I worked for the athletic department. I was in the marketing division. I was on the field damn near every single weekend. I was in the press box running the video board. I watched a lot of Texas State football, a lot of bad Texas State football. I think one of the lowest points was playing Incarnate Ward. And if you are outside of the state of Texas and you can say where Incarnate Ward is, I'll give you $100. Now, one little fun fact, by the way, the Miami quarterback, Cam Ward, was the quarterback that actually beat Texas State at Incarnate Ward. Before he went to Washington State, that's the school he was at. So a little fun fact for you. But I've watched a lot of bad Texas State football, and I am so excited for the opportunity that they have with Arizona State coming to San Marcos at one of the most underrated stadiums in the entire Group of Five, and one of the most underrated schools in the entire country. I don't care. You may hear some passion in my voice. This is going to be biased. I'm sorry if you're an Arizona State fan who's looking for an unbiased review. Go find it somewhere else because it's eat 'em up Cats by 90. Let's talk about this game. And honestly, I hate to say it. I know it's biased. I don't know how Texas State isn't favored in this game. Arizona State is favored by like 2.5, which isn't a huge spread, especially knowing it's a Group of Five team going against a Power Four program. But I think Texas State has all the momentum to really come in and dominate this game. It is going to be played on a short week, Thursday at 6:30 Central. So maybe because of it's a short week, it might be a slow start. But let's talk about what's the path for Arizona State. What's the path for Texas State? Arizona State up to this point had a huge win against Mississippi State and Wyoming. They dominated Wyoming expectedly, and they almost fumbled the bag against Mississippi State, but got a huge win against an SEC program. That's not nothing. So what is Arizona State wanting to do in this game? Well, it's going to run through Cameron Scatabo, their running back. He is the life of this offense. If you stop him, you most likely stop them from scoring points. I don't want to disrespect their quarterback, who also has some legs to be able to move, but it's the Scatabo and friends kind of offense right now. And that's not nothing, especially when we're talking about the physicality and the talent gap between the Power Four and Group of Five. If you just want to try to maul Texas State's defense, which I think Arizona State's going to try to do, it's going to be a grinded out, we're going to make long methodical drives and keep the quarterback, Jordan McLeod, off the field, the quarterback for Texas State, who is an absolute playmaker. I think he played his best game, obviously, out of 2 for Texas State just last week against UTSA. Mind you, that was a rivalry game. UTSA has beaten Texas State like 5 straight times. Texas State has never beaten them in their program's history, and they got a huge dominant win against UTSA. Whatever you may feel about UTSA, they are coached really well by Jeff Traylor. So dominating them at home and getting the job done is huge for this program. And I think it gives you the confidence that you're looking for in probably your biggest game. Like I said, it's a huge opportunity. You can make an argument it's their biggest game in their program's history since joining Division I. And I think Texas State with Jordan McLeod, what they're going to try to do is basically the same script that they had against UTSA. Make big plays, because objectively, if you get into a shootout with this team, I don't think Arizona State is going to be able to keep up. Arizona State's going to try to be very methodical. They're going to try to make these drives, 10, 12 plays and wear Texas State down, because they know for a fact that Texas State, talent-wise, may not stack up with the physicality that you will see with the Power 4 program. But what makes me feel a little bit more confident that, even if Arizona State is able to dominate the time of possession, make these long drives, I feel weirdly confident because Texas State, their deepest position group, in my opinion, could arguably be the defensive line. They could go 7 deep and be able to keep guys fresh and keep making plays. And all I think is, the defense just has to be good enough. I know last year, the big problem with the defense was they were bottom 10 in the entire country in big plays given up. I don't think this Arizona State team is going to demand attention to potential big plays outside of, stopping the run. Sam Leavitt, the quarterback for Arizona State, when he had to face like a formidable defense, had about 50% completion percentage. He's not a guy that's, though dynamic with his legs, is going to be able to push the ball downfield. And that's what would scare me if Arizona State had that. Maybe it was like a Jaden Rashada. I'd be a little bit more worried. I'm not so worried about Sam Leavitt. I hate to say it. Now, if he proves me wrong, I will post an apology, being so honest. But I think Texas State has the better quarterback. Ismail Mahdi at running back, if they need to have these long, methodical drives to match up, and they're not able to make the big plays because Arizona State's basically blank, like having a major blanket on the backside of the field, Ismail Mahdi is more than good enough to be able to make these drives get 4 or 5 yards out of carry because they're just that good. Now, I want to see Texas State's offensive line be consistent against a very physical front. That's all I ask for. And if that's the case, I think they win this game. Guys like Chris Don Jr. at wide receiver, they have other players at wide receiver that can make plays outside of Chris Don, who was incredibly good against UTSA. I think Texas State has the better quarterback. They have better momentum. They have the better running back, arguably, with Scadabo versus Mahdi, which is an incredible matchup. I like Texas State in this game pretty comfortably. You're at home. This is a major moment. The one thing that I do have concerns about is the moment too big for them? And I'd have more worried about that if Texas State had like a younger quarterback that doesn't really understand the weight of the moment. But he does. He's the former player of the year at James Madison, a veteran quarterback. As long as he is playing in rhythm and on time and he's decisive, that's the biggest thing with Jordan McLeod. If he's not being decisive and he's hesitating, that's where the ball gets put into very disruptive areas, potentially even turnovers. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win the game. And I'm not going to sit here and try to say whoever controls the clock, because I think even if Arizona State has the larger time of possession, they've been able to make more methodical drives. I still think Texas State can match up point for point with them. And if Texas State even is able to get a little bit more push on Scadabo might be able to get like 150 yards. But I don't even feel confident in saying that, just because Texas State, though Lamar and UTSA are not the best rushing offenses in the world, Texas State's only given up 130 yards between the two of them. And I think that depth on the defensive line and keeping guys fresh is going to be huge. If Arizona State wants to win this game, it's going to have to be from Leavitt pushing the ball downfield. And to be frank, I think Texas State's secondary is pretty damn good to match up. So what wide receiver for Arizona State is going to step up and make a big play? If the problems with the big plays from last year show up in this game, then I think Texas State loses. But I think there's just too much momentum unless they, come off the UTSA win and they're not preparing in a short week. That's a huge area. Like, they just played Saturday. If they're not able to prepare at a great level, not just good, a great level going into this Thursday, that would concern me. But I trust in Klein. I trust in the veteran quarterback to get this team right, have no hangover about a rivalry dominating win. And I think the fact that it was a dominant win, you could, leave your foot off the pedal a little bit and focus on next week. I think that was huge. If they were in a grueling, tough win against UTSA, you might see a hangover problem, and that's where a team like Arizona State can attack. They dominated. I think they're going to be well prepared. Give me Texas State to win 41-30. I think Texas State covers easily, and I think they win outright.